What is going on? I hope everyone is doing wonderful today. Welcome back. For those who do not know, my name is Jet, and today we're gonna be talking about some plant. Big shocker for a plant channel. I have 8 really cool, I would say pretty interesting mix of plants in this little group here. And these are all ones that I haven't really ever shown before, or a mixture of things. Either they're just newer, I didn't think they were gonna make it for a while, or just things of that nature. I also got a wishlist plant in this mix. Not just any wishlist plant. I would say that this is in top 2, if not my #1 wanted plant. And I'm very shocked that I was able to get it. I will talk a little bit more about that. Let's just get right into it. I got this cutie here. This has technically been seen. People have seen this in the background. I just haven't technically like introduced it or talked about it. This is my ficus umbellata. I just love how big and pillowy these leaves can get. I like ficus elastica. Fiddle leaves are cool. You don't see these, at least where I'm at. I don't see them really in people's houses. I don't see them even at like nurseries that often. I don't know. There's just something about them, especially living where I live now, where I'm getting so much light from these big south and west facings. I was like, honestly, I feel like I got more than enough light for this ficus. I've had it for a month, maybe 2 months now, and it's pushed out, I think, 2 new leaves, if not 1. And it came in a little bit smaller than I was hoping. I still need to honestly like pot this up. It's just in a nursery pot. The roots are definitely starting to come out, and the soil mix isn't anything super crazy. I need to get it potted. I don't think I want to do it in this pot. This is just for like decor reasons, because I don't really like this pot that much anymore. It was like one of the first ones I've ever bought years and years ago. Really easy going. I don't really have any crazy plans for it. I just wanted one, and I kind of want to let it do its thing. I did see a post online where someone like curved it. They bonsai'd it, and it was so sick. It was like this squirrely line, and then they just let it go straight up in the center and then just let it produce leaves like normal. It was so sick, and I really want to do something like that, but I have never practiced bonsai. I've never messed with it. I don't feel really confident with it. It wouldn't be too detrimental if I did try it on something like this and it snapped, you know, like at least I know it would probably grow back. I also don't want to snap it because this is like really pretty. Once again, it's been in the background. Like if you've noticed, you've seen this guy, but this is the ficus umbellata. Next up on the list, I love this one. This one is so sick. I'm so happy it's doing as good as it is, because originally it was not. This is my Cissus quadrangularis or quadrangularis. I'm not too sure on the pronunciation. I got this off of Facebook Marketplace well over a year ago. I've had this forever. I had this hiding in one of the cabinets back at the old apartment. It was kind of just pushed into the side corner because I was just waiting, because it wasn't really doing anything. Sorry, my cat is like wanting to go to the plants and I don't want him to mess with anything. Come on, dude. So I had it for well over a year now. When I first got it, it was just this little stump here, this little small one. And then it had 2 little arms that were growing out. They were really small. It just didn't do anything for like months and months, like 6 to 7 months of just nothing. And it was starting to drop those older, or the newer growth. And so I was just kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing with this. I kept it in the corner. And then one day it started doing really good, and it was pushing out all this new growth here. And then it got to this point, and then this was right when we moved. When we moved, this snapped, super hurt. I ended up sticking it into the rest of this pot here, and it has now grown out so much more. And now there's that growth as well too. It's been a really funky and interesting plant in general. Like I said, it's a vining type of plant. I just water it when it dries out now, and I've taken it out of the cabinet. It's just on my west facing window, and I have it against the wall, so it's just been climbing up the wall, and it seems to really like that amount of light in general. I really thought this one was gonna be a goner. I really did. I'm so happy it ended up prevailing and doing so good, and I'm just kind of letting it exist. I'm gonna let it grow out a little bit more. Since it's going against the side of the wall, I think it'll be fine. Once it gets big enough, I will kind of decide and see. I might take more cuttings, and I might just keep staking it in the pot and just hope they root up. That way I can get like a really nice thick lush pot. I kind of want this one to hang down and start doing its thing that way. They're really pretty when they start to hang. If I can get maybe like 1 or 2 more cuttings into this, maybe even 3, and get it in there and just kind of make it look a little lush that way and have it kind of droop down somewhere, I think that would look absolutely pretty. I think that would be absolutely stunning. This guy is one of the ones that I didn't think was gonna make it, and is still struggling kind of now, but it's doing a lot better. This is my Philodendron Summer Glory. This is a type of hybrid. I forget what the hybrid is. I think this is a Macaulay, like a Philodendron Macaulay and a Gloriosum. It's doing better. It's doing a lot better now. You can kind of see it's just not potted up, and the roots are kind of exposed, and I've just been kind of letting it exist, and I know that's not helping, but it has been pushing out new growth. When I originally had it, the leaves were a little bit bigger, but they've definitely dropped off, and they've been just kind of producing some smaller ones, but it's getting to be more consistent now. I definitely just need to repot it in general. I've had it in the cabinet for a good amount of time now. That's where it's been in for the last like probably year. I don't remember with these ones if they're also crawlers, because if so, that's another thing I'm gonna have to think about, because I don't really have, oh, I actually do have a pot that I could maybe put it in if it is a crawler. It has gorgeous leaves, and these things can get massive. Like if you've seen Gloriosums, you know what you know, it's kind of something like that. It'd be cool to see this one get a little bit bigger. It would be cool. I just am not putting the effort into it. A repot, a little refresh, a little rezhizh, if I may. I just need to do a little bit more research on them. I'm about to butcher the name for this next one, so please bear with me. I got my MacBook pulled up, like, ooh. This guy is really sick though. It is commonly known as a bundle of sticks, but the Latin name is Sinantium marnierianum, marnierianum, and then Sinantium I feel a little bit more confident with. This is also known as a bundle of sticks. It is just such a funky plant, because it's alive. You can tell it's alive, but at the same time, it just doesn't look like it's alive. The newer growth comes out a little bit more vibrantly green. It is starting to produce a little bit more too. I believe with these guys as well, as if they get enough light in general, they will start to honestly go a little bit more brown, kind of woody like. That's kind of like their, I don't want to say sun stress. That's probably not a good comparison at all. I just think these guys are so sick. It's such an interesting kind of plant. The foliage is very bare, but I kind of like that about it. I find it so fascinating. I know these guys also bloom. I do not remember what the bloom looks like, but I remember being told the bloom was like extremely stunning, really, really beautiful. I definitely want to get it a better spot. It's just kind of sitting, it's wedged between these big windows, so it's getting enough light. I want to find a really cool spot for it, really let it just kind of exist. Care-wise, really laid back. I just water it when it's dry. It's been about once a week because it's still pretty hot where I'm at. Such a funky little guy. And then once again, the name is Sinantium marnierium. Marnierinum. I'm going to be showing two at the same time. They're two different ones, but they're technically the same. Sorry, I might drip water. Little pings, they're cute little pings. Common name is butterwort a lot of the times. I have two different species here, and this one is thriving. I repotted both of them because when I got them, they weren't really in a pot. They were like in this little like carton thing, and they took it out and then put it in one of these little flasks or little thingies, and I was like, I need to pot this. I was nervous the pots were going to be too big, but I think I need to go to something bigger for this one because it has just been producing new growth like non-stop. It's so dewy as well, like you can just see it, and it's producing a bloom. I am so excited. It is so cool. This one is technically a Pinguicula red leaf ermogonada. It's really hard to read the handwriting on this. They wrote it down really quickly for me. It was super nice. I'll put the right name on the screen. This is that one. And then this other one is I want to say this is a more common one from my understanding. This is a Morianensis, I believe is how it's pronounced. This one has been a journey. Pings don't have really like deep roots in general. So when I repotted it, I was having such a hard time getting it to stay in, and it almost was just sitting on top of the moss. I wasn't really able to like get it kind of nice and compact in like I did with the other one. And so it's hard to see, but a lot of the original leaves have died off. There's a point where I only had two more like leaves on it, and I thought I messed up, but it is rebounding really nicely. It's put out a ton of new leaves. There's new growth coming from the center. The same care as any carnivorous plant with these guys. I just give them nice bright light, and I try to keep the moisture in there. I don't have it always sitting in water. I might give it a day or so. They've been pretty consistent, and they've been both doing super well. They're both in the cabinet for the time being. I want to put them on the windowsill. I'm just a little nervous. I don't know why I'm nervous. They are doing so good, and I feel like they would do fine, but I just don't know if that extra humidity is making like a big difference or not. I don't think it is, because the other ones have adapted super well, but I kind of want to let this one at least bloom and like appreciate the bloom first, and then maybe afterwards I will attempt to move them out onto the south facing window. I want to do something fun with them. I just don't know what. I've seen people, I think it's lava rock, but they'll just put them on the rock and have it sitting in a tray of water, and it's so freaking cool. The range that you can do things with pings is really sick, and I really want to explore that. The big one. This is the #1 plant that I wanted to show off. I just can't believe I have it in my collection. It's just super exciting. The plant that I am talking about is this little guy. This is a Welwitschia mirabilis. They are found in like the Namib deserts. And so that's somewhere in, I don't remember if it's South or West Africa, somewhere out in Africa. They grow on the coastal lines, like 50-mile radius long. They grow 2 leaves their entire lives. So they just continuously grow longer and longer. These get massive. Like, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head of how long they get, but we're talking huge, long, thick leaves. Like, it's so cool to see these in their mature forms. And a lot of times when you do see them in nature, they look like multiple leaves, but because of the weathering and just how it goes on, it ends up getting rips inside. So it ends up looking like multitudes of leaves. But just such a fascinating plant. They have this interesting taproot that can go, I think it was like 30 feet down below, and that's one of the ways they get water in that desert area. The other way they get a lot of their moisture is through early morning like mist or like fog that comes up from the coastal line, which is why they grow up in that general area. This is just such a fascinating, interesting plant to have something that only grows 2 leaves for its entire life. This is one that they estimate can live up to like 500, if not, I think 2,000 years old, which is so freaking cool. Like I said, I got so wrapped up in this wormhole about it, and it was the first time I've been really fascinated by a plant like in a long time, the way that I was, that I was just like, it's on the list. If I get a chance, I think I'm gonna commit to it. These guys are also really hard to get a hold of, only because a lot of the times it's easier to just get seeds and to germinate them and then to grow them out that way. But even then, germinating seeds for these guys is, one, still somewhat expensive to like get the seeds. I was only able to find them on like this really interesting Facebook group that was dedicated to this specific plant. There's a lot of people who sell the seeds there. On that Facebook group, no one really sells them, but they'll just kind of post about the ones that they have and talk about the age and like some of the conditions and things of that nature. That's kind of where I learned how to take care of this plant, because when you look online, they don't really say too much. You can get cognitive like clues and kind of put things together, but there's no place where you're gonna Google it and say, hey, you're gonna water this X amount of times, or this and this is what to expect from repotting. Like, there's not a lot of that. You gotta dig deep for it. And so that was another thing that was kind of challenging about this. But there is a nursery out in California that I had my eyes on. It's called Botanical Wonders. And I saw they originally posted that they were selling these one time. Another month or two later, they passed through and they were mentioning that they were gonna do it again. And so I messaged them being like, do you guys have an estimate? And they told me like, oh, we're gonna probably put them up over the weekend. So I was like, set ready. And it was like on a Tuesday or Wednesday that they put them up, and I saw that they were doing the list, and I was like, it has to be in there. So I went in there and they had 8 of them, immediate copped. And so it ended up getting shipped out like a week later, got here super quick, and obviously it's doing so well. But I'm just so excited to have this plant. There's a lot to learn about it. There's a lot of things I still don't know properly, and I'm excited to do more research and to somewhat do trial and error. I don't really want to mess around with this one, but I do want to try to give it its best chances. And so I have a lot of research to do, and I have a lot more thinking to do for this one. But this is my Welwitschia mirabilis. This is one of my absolute like top wish list plants, and I'm so happy I ended up getting it. That is gonna be a wrap for today's video. I do hope you enjoyed. Let me know, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment what you think. Did you know about the Welwitschia mirabilis? Is that something you've ever heard before? Is it on your wish list? I'd love to know. I feel like it was a good mixture. It was kind of a good variety of a lot of different things, which is kind of cool. It's really cool to just have like a variety of such different plants with all different care needs and, you know, just different growth patterns. It keeps it fresh, it's fun. I cannot wait to kind of just watch how things go and how things adapt. I definitely have some repotting to do for a couple of these guys, so I will be doing that in the near future soon. I could repot a lot of stuff in here, I feel like, and I might do it, especially since winter's coming, or my last little push for repots. But either way, thank you so much for watching the video. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, definitely give me a thumbs up, sub if you haven't, shared it with a friend, it helps a ton. I hope everyone has a wonderful day or night wherever they may be, and I'll catch you later. Bye.